Hello again. So this time we have sound waves. Before we studied a type of wave using the string. So we were making waves from strings. This time we're going to do waves of a different type. Now the waves on a string are what the textbook refers to as transverse waves. But today, with these sound waves, we're calling them something else. They're called longitudinal waves in the textbook, but today we're going to look at a specific example of longitudinal wave, which is sound waves. And to do that, we're going to study the whole process of sound and visualizing what sound waves look like, and what we hear using the PhET simulation once again. So let's go check out the PhET, help you get there. Here we go. So if you Google PhET sound, you'll get it right here. And you click on it. Now let's see how this one does. This one is Java, and so your laptop may actually ask you to do a couple things. So watch this. I'm going to hit keep, and it's just down here, and with your laptop you probably have to still open it. And for mine, because I've used this specific activity before, the sound one, it just says run. For you, it may ask you to update Java. You do not have to update Java. All you have to do is hit later, and then it'll let it run. All right. Currently, we have it on the tab Listen to a Single Source. You have this interesting looking person right here. You can move him further or closer to it. And we won't do it much, but part of this activity, you need to click on this audio enabled. As you can see, there's audio, right? It's making a sound. This is the sound coming. So the sound waves that you see traveling to the person here, what they're hearing is the sound that you hear. You can click it off. But the worksheet may, in fact, have you listen to the sound and adjust these features up here, amplitude and frequency, two terms that you used before in the string wave activity to define. So it's another opportunity to play with frequency and amplitude and see what it means in the sound form of a wave rather than on the string. Okay, let's check out the worksheet. So the worksheet is a Word document. So when you access this on the Google Classroom, you'll be able to type in. So you'll be able to type in and enter information in, unlike the PDF. So this one will be in electronic form, but unlike the last one you had, which we had to print. So we'll type into this. This will be an online document that you will turn in using the computer online. So you'll type all your answers up. All right, let's look what it says. Objectives are kind of what we've spoken about already. Let's see, number one, it says discuss the examples of things that make the different types of sounds listed in the table below. Write your examples in the table below. So this is really an exploration opportunity. In order to talk and write about the types of sounds in this table, we need to open the sound simulator and enable the audio like I was showing you before. So it says turn on the audio enabled so you can hear the sound. And then it says so you can hear the sound, and then below it says create the sounds in the table below. So, and it wants us to basically create a loud, high-pitched sound. And the question is, how do you do that? And now I'm not going to do it for you, of course. I want you to be able to try to figure and explore this out yourselves. But the first example says to create something loud and is high-pitched. The next thing is something that's soft, not as loud, but still high-pitched. Example of something that makes this sound. So you have to think, once you hear the sound, you can say, well, where might you have heard that sound before? And then this next box right here says explain how you used the simulation to make the right noise. So what did you do in the simulation to create a sound that was both loud and high-pitched? Let's explore the simulator again. So you click the audio and you adjust amplitude and frequency to make a loud, high-pitched sound. The sound currently already is fairly high-pitched, but you can adjust it to make it even more high-pitched if you want. You can also adjust these features here to affect how loud it is. So you can adjust either amplitude or frequency to get a louder, higher pitched sound or a softer, higher pitched sound. All right, back to the worksheet. Lastly, it says draw what the sound wave looked like in the simulation. So when you adjust amplitude or frequency, it will change the appearance of these waves. Now again, these waves are what are called sound waves or longitudinal waves, based on the textbook, as they say, longitudinal wave. And this speaker, you can see it's pulsing. And these waves are coming out, and you see it spreads out from the speaker in a general left to right direction. But the actual waves here will change appearance as you move amplitude. Here, let's just do it. You can see it just changed it. You can change frequency. As you can see, look at that. I lower the frequency. So let's see if I can reset it real quick. Guess not. Oh well. Alright. We'll let it go again. Okay, that's a little more close to what it was before. Alright. So as we were saying, you draw what the wave pattern, how the wave pattern changes in this area. You draw what it looks like. Being a digital version, it's going to be a little harder, but what we can do is, which might be a little more fun too, is you can have the sound wave playing, and then on your keyboard you can take a picture of the image, and just call me over and I'll help you with that. For my keyboard, I just hold down the function button, the function key, and then I look for a key that says print screen, and it will take a snapshot of the image in front of you. It'll take a picture of what the sound wave looks like right in front of you. And then you can even go on to, here, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna print screen this image, and then I can go to Paint, and I can just paste it in. Now I've taken a picture of the sound wave. There's a select function here. Click on that, and then I can just kind of chop out a section of the wave, copy it, and if I want, I can just paste it on in there. Of course, this is big. I want it smaller, but there you go. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so you can do the same thing. Remember, you go to the image, you're going to hit print screen from your keyboard. Remember, print screen is a key on the keyboard. You'll find it, or I can help you find it. To do it, you can go to, once you've hit print screen, you can go to a program like Paint that's free on your computer, paste it, and in this situation I'm pasting the wave that I already had taken. Interesting, right? So you paste it, and then you can just take a portion of the wave out that you like. Alright, let's move along. Alright, so in all these situations you create either soft or more quiet or loud sounds. So you make the sound either softer or louder, or quieter or louder, and you adjust one of the either frequency or amplitude to make it sound either higher pitched or lower pitched. And then just creatively from your own experiences in life, like what is something in your life that would make a sound like the one you hear? So once you hear the sound, like, oh, what does it make you think about? And then you type it in here. Maybe a dog barking, or an alarm clock, or a siren that you've heard from a police car or an ambulance, whatever. And here it is, what exactly did you do in the simulation to create that more quiet but yet still high-pitched sound? To describe what you did on the PhET simulation. Did you adjust the amplitude? Did you reduce the amplitude, lower it? Did you increase it, etc.? Or frequency. Did you move frequency bar more to the left or to the right? Did you lower the frequency? Did you raise the frequency, etc.? And then take another print screen photo of the wave and place it right here. As we go down further, it says, which cases in question number 2 have a high frequency? So which of these 4 would be considered having a far right or high frequency that you adjusted in this middle. So as you described what you did in this column right here for each case A through D, which did you increase the frequency? It said which one of those situations did you have a large amplitude or a far right amplitude? And in this last part, you would type in here basically what controls pitch or how loud something is, and what thing, or like was the sound high or low sounding, and then it also wants you to describe which control decides how loud or quiet or soft the sound itself is. All right, lastly, it gives you another scenario here. It wants you to do a low frequency, low amplitude. And what you're going to do is, let's see, it says compare how you would have to move the speaker to produce the sound in each case. Describe the motions below. Be sure to describe what is different about each one. So you're going to create sounds. Create each sound here. It looks like you'll probably potentially type in what the wave looked like at that time. And describing, is this sound low or high pitched, loud or soft? Finally, once you practice enough of these cases, you create rules for making the sounds that you want. It says develop rules for what affects frequency and what affects amplitude to explain your observations from question 4. Alright, so what do you do to make something have a different frequency? And what does frequency do to the sound that you experience? What do you notice about the different frequencies? And same goes for amplitude. What can you do with the speakers and the adjustments to change amplitude? And how does that in turn affect the sound that you hear? So if you were basically helping to say the different sounds, how would you create them? So step 1, to create a type of sound. Step 2, step 3, what are the different ways you can create different sounds? And how do you do that if you were going to teach somebody? Lastly, there's a little scenario that says some of your friends are confusing frequency and amplitude. So it's creating a situation where you have somebody doesn't know the difference between frequency and amplitude, which are the two things you've been studying in this activity. It says, how would you describe these terms in your own words to someone who didn't understand them? So below you would write your own definition for frequency, you'd write your own definition for amplitude based on what you've done here. So based on adjusting frequency, listening to that sound, what have you learned about what frequency is for sound? Maybe you describe the wave pattern. So as you adjust frequency, it will affect this wave, the sound wave pattern. You could also use that to describe the definition. And the same for amplitude. You would describe when you lower or increase amplitude, what does it do to sound? So what is amplitude of a sound wave? And what does that do to the appearance of the wave? That should also be part of your definition. Alright, and that will conclude the worksheet. Looks like it has a third page, but it's all blank. Alright, good luck.